Frustrated residents of the inner west are demanding pollution filters be installed inside the Westgate Tunnel's ventilation towers. They've told Ollie Haig they fear air quality in their neighbourhood will deteriorate when it opens to traffic.
Towering over Yarraville, a crucial piece of the new Westgate Tunnel that has these residents seeing red.
We don't want it to act like a chimney where we've got all air pollution filtering out into the community.
The fact there's no filters, it's just going to basically blow over our suburbs.
Locals in Melbourne's inner west united in anger over the design of these ventilation stacks, which will pump truck and car fumes from the new tunnel into their neighbourhoods.
I'm 49, so I'm in the. I've got asthma, so I've already got some air, quality and respiratory issues. I'm getting older.
If all that pollution's coming straight out, it's going to keep impacting us.
The stacks are placed at both ends of the tunnel, the first near the Yarraville Gardens and the second next to Stony Creek.
Enough's enough, just filter the stacks.
But the state government says it won't be making any modifications, insisting filtration technology is not the international standard, and the EPA advised it wasn't needed.
The height of the stacks, along with the engines that will propel that waste into the air, are sufficient to be able to disperse those emissions to a level that is safe.
Europe has been filtering their vent stacks since 1993. It's proven technology.
Instead, regular emissions testing will occur once the road opens later in the year.
The EPA will be taking an active interest in monitoring and making sure that those emissions are managed over time.
I mean, they're making it look pretty, but it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty for people in the West.
Ollie Haig, 9 News.
Angry residents in Melbourne's inner west are accusing the Allen government of using their suburbs as a dumping ground for toxic pollution.
The government is refusing to install filtration vents on the new Westgate Tunnel smokestacks, and locals say their health is paying the price.
Venting their frustrations.
In that inquiry, their recommendation was filtration from day one.
And voicing their fears.
EPA, get off the fence!
We're seeing a lot of young families, children in particular, who are suffering from the harmful effects of air pollution, particularly traffic-related air pollution.
Maribyrnong residents refusing to give up their 9-year fight for filters to be installed on the Westgate Tunnel smokestacks.
We are left with the foul air that's just so harmful to our health.
A Torrens University study reveals asthma rates among Maribyrnong residents are 41% higher than the national average. They also face a 40% increased risk of stroke and are more likely to die prematurely from respiratory diseases.
Hospital admission rates for children in the city of Maribyrnong is 171% above the Australian average.
According to the Allen government, the filtration technology isn't proven.
The EPA has indicated that filters are not necessary in the ventilation stacks.
Neither the Burnley or Domain Tunnel smokestacks have filters, and pollution is within EPA limits.
Europe has been filtering their vent stacks since 1993. It's proven technology.
The design of the Westgate Tunnel allows for filtration vents to be retrofitted if pollution levels get too high. But residents are adamant they want it done now, saying the risks aren't worth it.
There will be ongoing testing within the tunnels and outside the tunnels in the surrounding areas.
Don't be slack, filter the stacks!
Christy Mayer, 7 News.
Families in Melbourne's inner west are fearful toxic fumes from a new tunnel will seriously impact their health. The government's $10 billion project doesn't include a filtration system, and locals say pollution levels are already high.
This new addition to the inner west skyline will soon pump pollution above backyards and sporting grounds.
It's no more high-tech than a brick chimney from the 1800s.
2 50-metre tall vents have been built as part of the Westgate Tunnel project, but it doesn't include any filtration. More than 100 upset residents gathered, scared for their health.
The pollution coming from 65,000 vehicles a day using the tunnel will still just settle on our homes, and we'll be breathing in that filth.
The cost of putting it in, obviously there's a cost, but what's the cost of not putting it in? I think it's the health of our families and our kids.
The local council declared a health emergency in 2023 because of air pollution.
Multiple causes of asthma, but air pollution is one of them, just like smoking.
But the government says it's following advice from the EPA.
Filters are not necessary for the ventilation stacks to be able to do their work in extracting the emissions from the tunnel and dispersing them from the top of the stacks.
The $10 billion tunnel is expected to open late this year, and while the ventilation stacks have been built to allow for future installation of the filters, locals say the opportunity to clear the air is running out.
To fit it later, you'd have to close the tunnels down. Is Transurban going to say, oh, just shut our tunnels down for a couple of weeks while you're putting filtration? It's never going to happen.
Air quality testing will be conducted for up to 5 years once the tunnel opens. Ashley Pollock for 10 News First.
Residents in Melbourne's inner west are calling for filtration units for a major government road project. Dozens of them rallied in Yarraville today, pressing the state government to install a filtration system before the opening of the Westgate Tunnel later this year. Under the current design, the tunnel will have tall, unfiltered ventilation stacks. And locals are worried that won't do enough to reduce pollution. But the government says it's following the advice of the Environment Protection Authority.
The height of the stacks, along with the engines that will propel that waste into the air, are sufficient to be able to disperse those emissions to a level that is safe.
It's frustrating to see community members need to hold signs like "filter the stacks, clean our air and save our lungs," rights that should be intrinsic for every single member of our community, not something that we need to fight for.